What's up YouTube, it's JackalGoldKick. Gonna be doing another video game collection video. This will be my Xbox One collection. This will probably be the shortest one in the series because out of all my video games, the Wii is probably the smallest collection I have, but this is one of the smaller collections I have, my Xbox One collection, because to be honest with you people, I'm not really a big fan of the Xbox One. Out of all the consoles I've played in my lifetime and owned, the Xbox One is the worst console I've played. It's my least favorite system of all time. I just thought that it was a huge downgrade compared to 360. The controller felt more cheap feeling compared to the 360 controller. The UI interface was crap and they always changed it constantly. The system design itself, the base model, was ugly as fuck. It was a weaker system than PS4. The exclusives were really lackluster. A lot of their key franchises like Dead Rising and Gears of War just had a lot of shitty entries on that system. I just was not a big fan of the Xbox One. It was a huge downgrade compared to 360, so that's why I don't have much of a collection for it. But here's my Xbox One collection of what there is of it. So yeah, first up is Gears of War 4. This is lame in my opinion. This is lame, just another downgrade to Gears of War once again. You know, I love the first 3 Gears of War games. Judgment started the downfall. This is even worse than Judgment. Gears of War 4, I don't mind the multiplayer in here. Horde mode's okay, but I'm not a big fan of this game because the campaign is fucking trashed. I do not like the campaign in this game. It's boring, it's dull, and it's just not enjoyable because you fight boring-ass robots. Yeah, like I want to fight robots in a fucking Gears of War game. You know, you fight robots for like the first 2 acts, and then you finally fight the, you know, quote-unquote locusts, which are now called Swarm, which it makes no fucking sense why the locusts are even back. They were killed along with the Lambent in Gears 3. Makes no sense why they're back in this game. You know, apparently they got crystallized and they came back as Swarm. It's so fucking stupid, it makes no sense. And, you know, Gears of War should have ended at part 3 because Judgment was disappointing. This is even worse. I only like the multiplayer in this one. Horde is okay. The campaign's fucking trash in this game. It's boring. You fight robots for the first 2 acts, a little bit in Act 3, then you finally get to fight the locusts. And the story that is just lame. It's just a big rescue mission. It's just, you know, later on in the game, it's just you got to save someone in Reyna's family, and then you got to save Marcus first, and then you got to save someone in Reyna's family. You know, that's it. There's no big global goal. It's not like the other Gears of War games where Gears 1, you were going to try to kill the Locust once and for all. In Gears 2, you were going to sink their planet. In Gears 3, we had to get rid of the Lambent. We had to do all... There was much more grandiose, epic, global stuff happening, whereas this game was just a fucking rescue mission. There was no awesome stuff happening. There was nothing huge happening, you know? They also hint... They only briefly hint at how Anya is dead in this game. They briefly hint at her dying, and JD and Marcus kind of have a falling out. They don't even develop that at all. It's like, apparently Anya's dead. This game hints that she's dead, but they don't really show her death scene, and they don't really show how that affects Marcus and JD. It's like, why not? That's a big character, and you're not going to really do anything with it. You're just like, yep, Anya died, and it caused a friction between JD and Marcus. They don't even explore that shit in Gears 5, really. They just fucking half-assed this shit. And another reason the campaign in this game is lame is the new character roster in this fucking game is trash. JD is trash, Dell is trash, Kate is trash, all the new characters fucking suck. They're boring, they're dull, they're not interesting, they can't hold a candle to the original characters from the original Gears of War games. Marcus, Dom, Cole, and Barrett are classic fucking characters. And in this game, they try to replace them with these new characters. JD, Marcus's son, Dell, and Kate. They're all fucking boring and they're all lame and I don't give a shit about them. They all try to be funny and crack jokes constantly. And they're just not interesting characters. They're dull. They're boring. There's just nothing to these characters. So not only do you have a boring campaign where you fight robots for the first 2 acts and you don't fight locusts till Act 3, but you have a boring-ass cast of characters to follow that are not interesting whatsoever. You have an underdeveloped thing with Anya's death. It's just, this game's disappointing. The only thing I like about this game is the multiplayer. Horde's okay, but the campaign is awful. And that's the main thing I care about in Gears of War games is the campaign. And the campaign in this game fucking sucks. It was boring. Halfway through when I first played this game's campaign, I had to force myself through the campaign. It was that boring. Judgment was disappointing, but at least I could finish Judgment's campaign. I mean, Judgment was a disappointing game, but at least I still could have somewhat fun finishing the campaign. Because at least Judgment had Baird and Paddock and people like that. At least I could fight Locust. Judgment had something, some redeemable qualities in the campaign. This game's campaign had none of that shit. Fuck this game. This was an even worse decline in the Gears of War franchise. Really disliked this one. And the crazy thing is, in Gears 5, they actually improved JD's character when he sucked in this one, and yet he wasn't the main character of Gears 5. This fucking bitch, this bitch Kate who's a shitty-ass fucking character. Fuck Kate. She's boring as hell. She was a boring protagonist for the 5th fucking game. But yeah, Gears of War 4, fucking lame, disappointing as hell. And it just was a further downgrade of the damn series. Up next is Attack on Titan. Brother got this game. I've seen the anime for this. It's pretty good. I only seen the first 2 seasons. I haven't played it. I played a little bit of this game, but didn't play enough of it, so I don't really have much to say about it. It was made by Koei Tecmo, so I only played a little bit of it, but I don't really have a lot to say about it. But from what I played, it seemed good. Seemed like a good adaptation of the anime. But yeah, the Attack on Titan anime, I have seen it. It was pretty good. It is a pretty good show. I only seen the first 2 seasons, but yeah, this is another one. Have to eventually play this and play it in full and the sequel because I didn't play it much. But it seemed good from what I played. But yeah, Attack on Titan, that's another one. Seemed like a good game adaptation of the anime. Yeah. Up next is Mafia 3. Now, I got this game a few years ago. I remember on Valentine's Day because I was somewhat interested in Mafia 3. I remember when I first got this, I did an unboxing video of it. I played some of it here and there on Xbox One. I thought, this is an alright game. It's an okay game. It's basically like a GTA, sandbox, open world type of game, the 3rd entry in the Mafia series. You play as this guy named Lincoln Clay who comes back from the military, and he finds out some people in his family are involved with the mob, and he gets involved with the mob. And they end up screwing him over, killing his family, and they think they killed him, but they didn't. So he's got to go for revenge and go after this mob family that screwed him over in a bank robbery because he did a bank robbery with his mob, and they basically screwed him over. And he has to get revenge on them. So it's like a revenge type story. It's like an open world sandbox type of game set in the 60s, 70s, somewhere around there. It says 1968. So 60s, 70s kind of, and it's in the middle of that, I guess. Yeah, the little bits I played of this back when I first got it, I did that unboxing video playing it here and there on Xbox One. I didn't mind this game. Thought it was alright. But after revisiting it here and there again, I really don't like this game anymore. It's not my cup of tea. I don't really care for it. I think this game deserves the bad reception it gets. I couldn't really get into it when I replayed it. It was just boring. It wasn't enjoyable. Just didn't care for it. Didn't really grab me. Maybe I could have beaten it back when I first played it, because sometimes I would play a game, drop it, and can't really get back into it. But yeah, Mafia 3, liked this kind of when I first got it and played it, but it just didn't hold up when I revisited it. I don't know, I felt like it just didn't really grab me like that. It just wasn't that great. Story, gameplay wise, the overall game just wasn't hooking me. The shooting feels kind of crappy. And from what people say, this is a repetitive game because you're just doing the exact fucking same thing over and over again. Not really into the Mafia series itself anyways. Not really into mobster stuff and gangster stuff like that. I mean, I like street stuff, but not like gangster mobster type stuff, if that makes sense. So yeah, definitely don't like this anymore. Not my cup of tea. Definitely deserves the bad reception it gets. Don't like this one anymore. So yeah, Mafia 3. Up next is Fallout 4. I was so excited for this game. I loved Fallout 3. I enjoyed Fallout New Vegas, though I do think New Vegas is a little bit overrated. I was really excited for Fallout 4. I pre-ordered it. I was really excited for this game. Couldn't wait to play it. And when I first saw the trailer for this game, I was hyped because, it was years and years since Fallout 3. We were waiting ages, and we were waiting such a long time. We were waiting so long for a new Fallout game, and they finally announced Fallout 4. They had that trailer at E3. Saw it, was excited for it, Pre-ordered Fallout 4, was hyped for it. When I first got it for Xbox One, I was playing it like crazy. Really enjoyed the playthrough. Had a great time with this game and was impressed with it overall. Played a little bit of one of the expansion packs, played a little bit of another one, but then dropped it. But nowadays, when I really try to go back to this game and my updated opinions on Fallout 4, I don't really like this game anymore. I mean, I think the reason I enjoyed it when I first played it is because it was so long since we had a Fallout game. It was so long. There was finally one out. I was caught in the hype and this and that. But, you know, trying to revisit Fallout 4, I don't really like this game anymore. I just think it's just not as good as Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. The setting is not as interesting. I think the building system they forced in here is just not good. There's not as many choices. You're kind of playing, like, you can create your own character, but you're kind of playing as a character Bethesda created for you, since the character can has voice acting in there, and there's kind of a story to go along with it. So you don't really get to create your own character. And from what I've read online, you can't really be a good or bad guy. And I don't know, it's just when I first played Fallout 4, I really enjoyed it, had a blast with it. But every time I've tried to go back to it and play it nowadays, I don't like it anymore. I think it's boring. I think it's a lame game. It's disappointing, and it's a lame follow up to the previous Fallout games. And it's just, this could have been so much better. Fallout 3 was so goddamn good, and this game just fucking sucked. Loved it when I first played it, liked some of the expansions, but every time I try to go back to this game, Fallout 4, I just couldn't get back into it. It really isn't that great, honestly. The setting sucks. The story and setting isn't that compelling. A lot of the enemy design changes are pretty lame. The super mutants and feral ghouls look fucking stupid in this game. It feels more just like a first-person shooter with missions. It doesn't really feel like a RPG or an open world role-playing game like Fallout 3 New Vegas actually felt. You know, this was just a lame follow-up. This just wasn't good. And this was also kind of the start of the downfall of Bethesda. Um, yeah, this is just a disappointing game. I was expecting, you know, I was hyped for it, and I did enjoy my first playthrough, but after revisiting Fallout 4 many times, my updated opinion and trying to play this nowadays, I just do not like it anymore. I just think it's lame. I think it's boring. It's got a shitty setting. It doesn't even feel like an RPG game. It just feels like a generic first-person shooter with missions in there, you know, and the setting is not as interesting. A lot of the enemy design changes are lame. There's a lot of Radiant missions, I guess you could call those, where you can do the exact same mission over and over again, where Preston Garvey, that fucking guy, always tells you there's a settlement in trouble. It is absolutely ridiculous, because those, I don't remember those being in Fallout 3 New Vegas. The stupid Radiant quests, they were ridiculous. It's just the setting wasn't good. The guns looked pretty lame. A lot of the pipe guns and stuff, they just looked boring. A lot of the armor looked like shit. You know, it felt like Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas felt like a game for, you know, Fallout fans, and it felt like an RPG and what it was going for. It felt like it was true to its series and the genre. Whereas this game, it feels like it got away from the roots of Fallout, when Fallout's about, got away from what the genre really is. This feels like a like a this feels like a mainstream watered down it just feels like a mainstream watered down version of Fallout. That's what it feels like. It feels like a mainstream watered down version of Fallout with none of the magic of Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. And yeah, this game is just really lame. It should have been much better. You know, like I said, I think the biggest problems with this game is the setting, a lot of the enemy changes, the lack of choices. You don't really get to make your own character like that, to be honest. It's just a case of you play as the male, you play as the woman, and you go save your son and this and that. There's multiple endings, but from what I hear, they don't even do much with it. And you got the boring ass building system, which I hate looking back now trying to play this game and get into it. I hate the building system where you can build houses and stuff and build these communities. That's a stupid system. It's boring, and I hate how they force that in the game so much to where it feels like you have to do it. It's such a big part of the game that it really ruins it. You know, it's just disappointing, very disappointing. If they ever make a Fallout 5 or a new Fallout, it needs to be better than this. It needs to be as good as Fallout 3 and New Vegas, because this failed to live up to New Vegas and Fallout 3. Liked this when I first played it, but it's just not good anymore. I haven't played Fallout 76, but that one seemed pretty worse than that one. So I don't know if I'll ever play that one. Up next is Dark Souls 3. My brother got this game. I didn't get this game. I haven't played this game, so I don't have much to say about it. I've tried these kinds of games, these kinds of Soul games. Like, I've tried Bloodborne. I've tried Neo and Code Vein and stuff like that. Not my cup of tea. It's not because they're challenging games. Like, I think it's cool that they're going for a challenging thing. I like challenging games. I'm someone who loves that. I like challenging games. I like games to be hard and challenging. So that's not really the problem I have with them. But I don't know. It's just, I've played these style of games, like the first Dark Souls. I've played Neo and Code Vein and Bloodborne and stuff like that, and I just couldn't really get into them. Not my cup of tea, not really what I like, just weren't really clicking with me, just wasn't really appealing to me gameplay wise, just not my thing, not really a fan of them, not really into these games, just not my style, you know. So yeah, don't have much to say about it, but if I did play this, I probably wouldn't like it because I'm not really into Souls games. Just not my cup of tea. Just couldn't really get into them. I've tried a lot of them. They're just boring to me. I don't care for them. But yeah. Up next is this fucking game right here, Dead Rising 3, man. What the fuck happened to this series? I tell you, man, what happened to Dead Rising? This series used to be so fucking good. It used to be so good. I remember a time when Dead Rising was really good, when it was Dead Rising 1, Dead Rising 2, Case West. I remember that shit. Dead Rising used to be a good series, but when we got to this game, the series went down fucking hill. Now let me say this, with Dead Rising 3, when this game first came out, I thought it looked really good. And it got me excited to want to get an Xbox One. The whole reason I got an Xbox One was because of this game. And I was like, hell yeah, I want an Xbox One. I want to play Dead Rising 3. It looks great, you know? And when I first got this game and played it, I had a blast with it. I had a few complaints, but I enjoyed it. I was like, oh, this is good. I had fun with it. But the more I played it, the more I played Dead Rising 3, the more time went on, slowly the disappointment started to set in. And slowly I started to realize this isn't that good. This is disappointing. And to where nowadays, when I revisited this with a Dead Rising marathon, I think I did a Dead Rising marathon. I can't remember when, but nowadays, when I revisited this game, did a full playthrough of it, I hate this game. I do not like it anymore. I think it's boring. I think it's shit. I think it was a huge downfall for the Dead Rising series. You know, the fucking the setting is this boring ass fucking city. You know, the first two games had a great setting. The first game had a cool mall. Dead Rising 2 had some malls and casinos, bright, lively colors. We go from that to this boring ass setting of Los Perodos, or Los Pirados, California, whatever, where it's this boring ass city where it's like 4 city blocks, a big highway, and that's all it is. And none of the areas are memorable. It's just roads, blocked roads, buildings, and the highway, and that's all there is to the setting. You know, it's just these 4 city areas with a highway. A bunch of the roads are blocked, and it's just not a good setting. It's not memorable. And another problem I have with this game is the graphic style is ass for this game. Dead Rising 1 and 2 had a lot of color to them, and that added to the game. And in this game, they took all the color out of the game. This game has no color to it. It's like this murky, gray, dull looking kind of game, and it just doesn't fit. You know, with Dead Rising 1 and 2, that color in the game that those games had, it fit it really well. And they took all the color out of this game. They took all the color out of Dead Rising 3, and that was a stupid idea. And it made it this just dull looking, lifeless, no color. So not only is the setting lame, and the setting's pretty generic too. It's a generic city. It's like, you can't make a good city setting. Look at Case Zero. Case Zero was a small city, but that was a good city. It was memorable. I remembered the areas. I remember the junkyard where you fought Jed. I remember the fucking pawn shop with the guy named Dick. I remember the rooftop next to the area with the swords where the guy would flag you down for survivor missions. I remember the quarantine area where you would go and get the first bike part. I remember all the areas in Case Zero. I couldn't tell you one fucking area I remember from Dead Rising 3 setting. But yeah, the setting is lame in this game, boring, generic. None of the areas are memorable. You know, bunch of blocked roads, boring city setting. They get rid of all the color. The story of this game is stupid as well. You play as Nick Ramos, who was one of the 50 infected orphans that you found out about in Dead Rising 1. And he's going to be the one to cure it, which is stupid. It makes no sense, okay? Carlito infected 50 orphans in Dead Rising 1. Why the fuck would he give one of them the cure? Carlito doesn't give a fuck. He released a virus in Dead Rising 1 to get revenge and send a message for what happened to his hometown. Why the fuck would he put a cure in someone to cure the zombie outbreak of what he spiraled and started? It makes no sense. And that's the bullshit they do in the story of this game. Nick is immune and he's going to cure it. That completely contradicts and goes against Carlito's character, because why would Carlito give a shit? And they also fuck Isabella's character up in this game. They make her the goddamn villain in overtime mode ending, where they reveal, yeah, Isabella, she started the outbreak in Dead Rising 3 because she wanted to lead out one of the affected orphans. She wants to restore the name of the Carlito Keys family, and she disses on Frank West and Chuck Green and says, I want to be the hero, and Frank West left me to die once, and this and that. It's like, what the fuck? What's going on? You ruined Isabella's character. Isabella in the first Dead Rising, yeah, she was kind of a villain. She went along with her brother, but she had a great character arc where she changed and started to become a good person and started to work with Frank West. And she had an interesting character arc in Dead Rising 1, and had a interesting evolution in working with Frank West. We're gonna go from that to her back to being a villain to restore the Carlito Keys name. That's fucking stupid. It makes no sense. She helped Frank and DR1 and Kiram and all that shit, you know, and told them about the bombs and stuff. But no, let's just contradict all that and make her the villain again. Makes no fucking sense. Stupid as hell story. Another thing that's dumb about this story, Chuck Green isn't the one looking for his daughter. It's some guy named Gary. Why would Chuck Green send someone to look for his daughter? It's Chuck Green. This guy literally got stuck in the elevator just to rescue his daughter's backpack. If he was willing to do that shit, he would fucking rescue his own daughter. The only reason they did that is because they had a lame story. So like, you know what? Let's do a shock value thing. Let's make it to where you don't find out to the end of the game. Holy shit, this Annie chick is actually Katie grown up. And this was Chuck that was looking for her. That's the only reason they did that, because they didn't have much of a story to go with. It's a stupid story. Makes no sense. There's no reason why Chuck Green wouldn't be the one looking for her. You know? And the gameplay is shit. The time is, there is a timer in here, but it's not even that limiting. You know, Nick Ramos is a lame character. He's a pussy. He's a fucking coward. He's a bitch. I hate Nick Ramos. He's a shit fucking character. His friend Diego's even more annoying than him. I'm glad he got fucking killed. Glad those fucking worms came on his goddamn face. I wish it could have happened to Nick as well. Chuck Green should have killed this motherfucker. I hated the way he interacted with fucking Chuck. At the end of the game, him and Chuck have an interaction. And he talks to Chuck like he's a punk. Like, what the fuck? Chuck Green would fuck this guy up. That shit pissed me off. Yeah, fuck Dead Rising 3. The start of the downfall of the series. It's nothing like the first two Dead Rising games. Shitty setting, shitty story, ruining characters like Isabella, ruining a past character like Carlito, and completely going against his character with the whole immune thing. Fucking, the setting is lame. The psychopaths in this game are lame. They go for the stupid 7 deadly sins thing. There's too many fucking zombies on screens. You can't really go anywhere. It's out of control. The zombies look like shit in this game. They look like they're ripping off The Walking Dead. You know, they have this whole car system, but yet you can't drive anywhere because half of the roads are blocked. This game also feels more clunky than Dead Rising 1 and 2, in my opinion. Dead Rising 1 and 2, you know, there may have been a little bit of roughness when you go back to it, like the way Frank jumps on stuff in the first game, but this game felt more clunky than the first two. You jump on cars and buildings and Nick kind of stumbles. This game, I'm not even kidding, at times it does feel more clunky than the first two games, especially the driving. The driving actually feels more clunky than Dead Rising 1, a 2006 game. Tell me how that makes sense. Another thing I thought was stupid about this game, you have stupid shit. You have football zombies that can tackle you. What fucking sense does that make? You have convict zombies that are 8 feet tall, which make no goddamn sense. You have the stupid-ass king zombies. And when you're driving the cars, the zombies block your cars and slow you down. That makes no fucking sense. It just, I could go on and on about this. I talked about this in a disappointing video, but fuck Dead Rising 3. This was the start of the downfall of the series. Fuck this goddamn game. I don't know why some people defend this game. Maybe they haven't revisited it, but some people that like crap on Dead Rising 4, they say this is the last good one or this is still a good one. I don't know why people defend this game. If you like Dead Rising 1 or 2 and you're defending this game, I don't know why you are, because this was the huge downfall of the series. Fuck this game, man. Fuck this goddamn game. This was just such a lame, like this, it pisses me off to think about this game and talk about it and to look at it, because I grew up with Dead Rising since the first one, and I know how good the series was, but this was just a huge piece of trash. So yeah, Dead Rising 3, fuck this game. Up next is Call of Duty Black Ops 3. My brother got this game. I didn't get this game. As I said before in my other collection videos, I'm not really a big fan of Call of Duty. I'm not really into first-person shooters. The only thing I really liked in this game was the zombies. That's all I really care about with Black Ops. I thought Nazi zombies in this game was pretty cool. And it's the only reason I played it was the Nazi zombies. Nazi zombies in this is pretty fun. Don't really care for the multiplayer much. Campaign, I tried to play it, but I was pretty bored by it. But yeah, don't have much to say about it. Not really into these kind of games. But the only thing I do like about this is the Nazi zombies. It is pretty fun, but don't care for the multiplayer or campaign much. But yeah, Call of Duty Black Ops 3. I will say the zombies in this isn't as good as Black Ops 1 because it's a little bit more complex. You know, they went way too complex with it. It used to be just turning power on, and then it went on from that to becoming more complex. Just keep things simple. Got way too complex in this game. And lastly, we have Warriors Orochi 3 Ultimate. Great game. I have this for Xbox One because originally I bought this for Xbox One because I wanted a Warriors game for Xbox One. And then I didn't want to play this version anymore because there was like a weird stutter that would happen all the time when you would play it. And eventually it started to freeze. I made a video about this. It froze one time when I went to play it, and it wouldn't work anymore. And now it works, but I just prefer the PS4 version now. It feels much more smooth, a lot better. And just Warriors games, prefer playing most of them on PlayStation, but I'm not opposed to playing them on Xbox here and there. But yeah, Warriors Orochi 3 Ultimate, have it for Xbox One as well. Really good game, solid game, love it. Great story, good gameplay, good expansion of Warriors Orochi 3. I wish there was an English dub. I hate the fact that there isn't. There's a lot of cool stuff like the backstory for Orochi. You have so many characters. You have a lot of gameplay content. So much content in the game. Good soundtrack, good story with, you know, going after the Hydra and going back in time to save everybody to stop the Hydra. And then you got the extended story. We get the backstory of where Orochi came from. This new villain named Yamanao or Tamanao or something. She has like a scroll, and then her evil alter ego, Kyubi. Plays 3 characters. You got mystic weapons. You got new characters. Just a fun hack and slash game. So much content. So much to it. I will admit I did buy a lot of DLC for this game on Xbox One. But that was kind of back when I wasn't super anti DLC, and it was back when I wasn't as clear-minded as I am now with modern gaming and the bullshit business practices. So I definitely apologize for buying a lot of the DLC for this game. I should not have done that, because I feel differently about DLC these days. But yeah, Warriors Orochi 3 Ultimate, besides the English dub and bullshit DLC, I definitely do like this game. It's pretty damn solid. Before I end this Xbox One collection, there's one more game I was wanting to show. This is a PS4 game. I actually forgot to show this in the PS4 collection video because I forgot it was in here. So let me hurry up and show that in this one, just to make up for it not being in the other video. So let me make sure I find it. So yeah, this is the only one I didn't show. That is Neo. Used to have the case, but during like moving, it got broken into pieces, just like Samurai Warriors 2 case. But yeah, Neo. This is another PS4 game I have. My brother got this game. I didn't get this game. Like I said with Dark Souls 3, I'm not really into these Souls games. I did try this game. Just isn't my cup of tea. Isn't really my style. Not really into these kind of games. Didn't really like this one. Tried to get into it, but I can't. Just not really a fan of Souls games. But yeah, that's another one I wanted to show. Would have included this in the other PS4 collection video, but I forgot to. But that's all I have to say. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and hit the notification bell. And that was it for the collection.